A man whose name is as iconic as his clothes and his music. A rock star by every definition. And he is credited as an innovator and a mastermind. He changed the direction of rock music and pushed the boundaries of the guitar, birthing a new era. But how much do you really know about him? Hello my fellow music nerds, my name is Sam and I am back with another video. So, Hendrix, Jimi. You've probably heard his name before, but do you really know what he's famous for, or what his life was about and how it ended? I doubt it. So let me break it down for you real quick. Johnny Allen Hendrix was born in Seattle, Washington on the 27th of November 1942 to his parents Lucille Jetta and James Allen Hendrix. His name would later be changed to James by his father. Jimi had a difficult childhood, sometimes living in the care of relatives or acquaintances. Since his mother was only 14 when she had him and his parents had a rocky relationship to say the least, Lucille eventually left the family after the couple had two more children, Leon and Joseph. Jimi would only get to see his mother sporadically before her death in 1958. Hendrix would pick up his first guitar when he was 15. It was an acoustic guitar that cost him $5, the equivalent to $47 today. He learned licks and chords from guitarists in the Seattle area, and he would listen to the radio at home and play along to his favourite songs. He was a fan of blues and rock and roll, as you would be. Eventually, he learned these songs by ear. Music became a sanctuary for him to escape the reality of his life. When he was 16, his father bought him an acoustic guitar, and the following year, his first electric guitar. It was a right-handed Supro Ozark, but since Hendrix was left-handed, he played it upside down. Shortly after, Hendrix started performing with his band, the Rocking Kings. He even dropped out of high school to work odd jobs and follow his musical aspirations. 2 years later, in 1961, Hendrix joined the US Army following his dad's footsteps. Whilst training to be a paratrooper, he still found time for his music, forming a new band called the King Castles. He was in the army for 1 year before being honourably discharged after injuring himself in a parachute jump. Afterwards, he began working under the name Jimi James as a session musician, backing up artists like Little Richard, B.B. King, Sam Cooke and the Isley Brothers. In 1965, he would go on to form his own group called Jimi James and the Blue Flames. They played gigs around New York City and Greenwich Village neighbourhood. During the mid-60s, he met his soon-to-be manager, Chas Chandler, who was a bass player for the British rock group The Animals. Chandler convinced Hendrix to go to London, where he met Noel Redding, a bassist, and Mitch Mitchell, a drummer, which created the Hendrix Experience. Whilst in England, he built a rapport with the country's rock royalty, with the Beatles, the Rolling Stones and The Who, and Eric Clapton becoming great admirers. And among the next few years, Hendrix would release hit after hit, starting with Hey Joe and Purple Haze. These songs were followed by The Wind Cries Mary, which are all part of his debut album released in 1967. But Hendrix was better known for his performances. They were electric. He had outrageous guitar playing skills and an innovative experimental sound. He won American fans over with his performance at the Monterey Pop Festival, which ended with Hendrix setting his guitar on fire. After quickly rising to superstardom, he would hit big again with his second album released in the same year called Axis, Bold as Love. His first album as part of the Jimi Hendrix Experience was Electric Lady, which featured a hit written by Bob Dylan called All Along the Watchtower. The band will continue to play until they inevitably split in 1969. In 1969, Hendrix performed another legendary musical event, Woodstock Music Festival. He was the last performer to appear in the 3+ day festival, and he played a rock rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. This performance showcased his talent and skill as a musician. At the time, Hendrix was also an accomplished songwriter and producer who had a recording studio called Electric Lady, where he spent a lot of his time creating music. In late 1969, Hendrix attempted to put together a new band, but it never really took off. However, Hendrix was working on a new album with Bill Cox and Mitch Mitchell, but sadly he would not get to finish it. Jimi Hendrix died on the 18th of September 1970 in Notting Hill, London at the Samarkand Hotel. His cause of death was accredited to asphyxiation due to vomit, which was contributed to by drugs, or in other words, a sleeping pill overdose. There was a case opened because the cause of his death involved barbiturates. Hendrix had 18 times the recommended dose in his system, and the coroner stated he showed no stigma of drug addiction or signs of suicide attempt. On top of that, the pills belonged to his girlfriend Monica Charlotte Danya, but ultimately the case was closed. Some people today do believe the ruling is unjust and that there may be foul play at hand, but I do not have the experience or the knowledge to approve or disapprove his opinions, so I digress. He was buried in Renton, Washington, and he is said to have one child, James Daniel Sundquist, with a Swedish woman he met on tour. Hendrix never knew or met this child, and nor did the family until the child sued for part of the estate in the 90s, 20 years after Hendrix's death. So, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think there's foul play at hand, or do you think this is just what happens when you abuse drugs? Now, you have to remember there was a big stigma at the time with the hippie movement, which was linked to rock music, psychedelic rock music, and the drug scene. And the government did want to shut it down, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories with other artists such as Janis Joplin that died of overdoses, and it seems very convenient for the government message. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video today, and did you learn something new? And if you've got more to add to this, please let me know in the comments down below. And with all that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, night, whatever time it is for you and wherever you are in the world. I wish you all the best, and I am out.
Consider yourself a dropout from society?
Not necessarily, no. Because we're making our own society. If you give us a chance. They might, oh, I shouldn't say that. No, I love that dropout, man. I'm still living and breathing just like you. We just look a little different, that's all. We just have different ways of expressing ourselves.